passing through Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I wanted to stop to visit the grave of one of my favorite comedians, really of all time. Part of that old school, the older generation of comedians. Sam Kinison had a very eccentric, different type of comedic style. And if you don't know who Sam Kinison was, he was a fantastic stand-up comedian and he was an actor. And oddly enough, prior to his career as a comedian, he was a Pentecostal preacher. So his comedic style had an element of those, those type of vocal, intense, yelling preachers. He kind of had that, which was his own style, his own shtick. But I'm sure you all know this. You know how funny he was, how talented he was. But what you may not know is the tragic way that he died. Sam was married on April 4th, 1992 to Malika Sori. I think that's how you pronounce her name. They honeymooned in Hawaii, and on April 10th returned back to LA. And that very day, on April 10th, 1992, Sam was driving to Laughlin, Nevada to do a show that night. He was driving his 1989 Pontiac Trans Am, his wife in the passenger seat. Coming the other way on the highway was 17-year-old Troy Pearson, who had been drinking. Pearson, who was driving a pickup truck, crossed the center line in an attempt to pass somebody illegally and slammed into Kinison's Trans Am head-on. Sam was found unconscious, still in his car, but he was in between the seats. He was not wearing a seatbelt, and his head had smashed the windshield, and he was pronounced dead at the scene, 38 years old. His wife was injured, but she later recovered. Some of the injuries that Kinison sustained in that accident were a dislocation of his cervical spine, a torn aorta, and torn blood vessels in his abdomen cavity, which resulted in his death very soon after the accident. Troy Pearson pled guilty to vehicular homicide, and he was sentenced to 1 year of probation and 300 hours of community service. Oh, and he had his license suspended for 2 years. And his body's right here. This is the family plot, Memorial Park Cemetery, here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So, rest in peace to one of the greats, one of the best to ever do it, here in Memorial Park Cemetery in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Alright, just a quick video. And back on the road. It is windy today. See you in the next video.